During the university military training, the instructor assigned to our class was a handsome guy, all the classmates liked him, and my roommate even said she would marry no one but him, out of kindness. I reminded my roommate that the instructor and we were not on equal footing, and that we didn't understand him at all. In the end, she slapped me hard across the face. "You Tao, why are you so nosy?" My classmates mocked me. "You're just putting on airs, aren't you jealous that Yao Yao is prettier than you and more favored by the instructor?" Ignoring their sarcastic ridicule, I insisted that my roommate stay away from the instructor. Unexpectedly, after military training ended, the instructor ended up together with another classmate. My roommate blamed me for ruining her love life and pushed me off the rooftop. The parents reported it to the police, but the classmates said they knew nothing. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my roommate took a liking to the instructor. My roommate shook off my hand. "You Tao, what do you mean by that? How did the instructor offend you? Why are you talking about him like that?" This time, I smiled brightly. "Nothing, I was just kidding." Lin Yao Yao looked at me suspiciously, then said angrily, "The instructor is so nice, why would you make a joke like that?" The corner of my mouth twitched. In my previous life, I had merely said, "You can know a person's face but not their heart," and Lin Yao Yao thought I was speaking ill of the instructor. Even after I tried to smooth things over later, Lin Yao Yao still said I was slandering the instructor and even went to complain to him. Fortunately, the instructor wasn't there at the time, and Lin Yao Yao later forgot about it too, otherwise, would definitely have been made to suffer during military training. "I'm sorry, I went too far with the joke," I said slowly. "What's the use of apologizing to me?" Seeing that my tone had softened, Lin Yao Yao became even more arrogant. "You should go apologize to the instructor." Okay, I'll go apologize to him right away, then I'll also." As soon as I finished speaking, I immediately walked out the door, not giving Lin Yao Yao a chance to catch up with me, because there was no way I would apologize to the instructor. Agreeing to Lin Yao Yao was just to keep her steady. I remember that when we had just moved into the dorm in my previous life, we talked about our respective views on love, and I don't know who brought up that line that was circulating online: falling in love with a teacher in school, falling in love with an instructor during military training, falling in love with a doctor while seeing a doctor. Before I could even complain, Lin Yao Yao said with longing, "How romantic, for love, to go against the world and abandon everything. I also hope to have a love like that." Back then, I thought she had just read too many novels and was full of fantasies about love. Only later did I realize she was serious. She was even willing to risk everything for this love, even killing someone. In the early morning, the sun wasn't too strong, but there were a lot of mosquitoes. I stayed under the shade of the tree for a while, and after getting bitten more than a dozen times, I walked back to the dormitory. Before the door was even opened, I could already hear people talking inside. "The instructor is really handsome." Exactly. "It's a pity he'd definitely never go for someone like me. Only Yao Yao has the looks for it." "Oh, what are you talking about?" Lin Yao Yao's voice was shy and bashful. "What's there to be afraid of?" I heard the roommate named Xin Shui say, "My cousin fell in love with her drill instructor during military training last year, and now she's so happy." I pressed my lips together. "In my previous life, I made my first mistake here," I directly retorted. "It's against the rules for military training instructors to date students." And as a result, I was resented by Lin Yao Yao and blamed by my roommates. This time, I simply waited quietly outside the door. After the romantic love story was finished and the morning training was about to begin, I knocked on the door. Their discussion had already ended. I closed the door and put on my military training uniform. "Where's my sunscreen?" I suddenly realized the sunscreen I had put on the desk was gone. It was the same in my previous life. On the first day of military training, my sunscreen vanished without a trace, and only later did I find out that Lin Yao Yao had secretly taken it. When I complained about sunburn, she instead tattled to the instructor, saying, "Some girls are too delicate, still putting on sunscreen during military training," which led to the entire class of girls being punished by standing in formation for an hour, while I was ostracized by my classmates as a result. After Lin Yao Yao pushed me off the rooftop, not a single person even stood up to speak for me. "Who saw my sunscreen?" I raised my voice and asked, my gaze sweeping over everyone in the dormitory. Lin Yao Yao didn't even turn around. "Who would take your cheap stuff? Maybe you just threw it somewhere and forgot." I walked straight over to Lin Yao Yao's locker. In my previous life, it was only after I was pushed off the rooftop that I learned Lin Yao Yao had always had a habit of secretly using other people's things. "What are you doing?" Lin Yao Yao screamed as she rushed over to stop me, but I had already pulled open her locker door. My sunscreen was sitting in the most conspicuous spot, and beside it was the pearl hair tie that had gone missing last week. The dorm room fell silent in an instant. Lin Yaoyao's face flushed bright red. "That's not yours. I bought it myself." I picked up the sunscreen and pointed to the mark I had made on the bottom with nail polish. "I made this mark so I wouldn't mix it up with someone else's." I picked up the hair tie again. "This one is missing a little pearl on it. It's the one I lost last week." Lin Yaoyao's lips trembled, and a flash of viciousness I knew all too well flickered in her eyes. In my previous life, she had looked at me with that same expression right before she killed me. I may have accidentally taken the wrong one." Her voice suddenly softened, and her eyes turned red. "Peach, I'm sorry, I've been too busy lately, and I might have mixed up your things with mine." The corners of my mouth curled slightly. If I were the naive me from my previous life, I might have softened and forgiven her, but now I knew this was just her performance. "It's okay," I said calmly, "just remember to say something before using someone else's things next time." I took the sunscreen back and didn't say much. I neither swallowed my anger like I did in my past life, nor did I completely tear things apart. This delicate balance was something I had to master after my rebirth. I couldn't be too weak and let her bully me, but I also couldn't be too forceful and provoke her into extreme retaliation. I didn't want to repeat the same mistake. The whistle for the military training assembly sounded, and we hurried to the playground. The blazing sun was beating down, and I was thankful that I had found my sunscreen. In my previous life, I got sunburned so badly that my skin peeled off in a layer. It was agonizing, and Lin Yaoyao even mocked me, saying I looked like a lizard shedding its skin. "Stand at attention," a loud voice rang out, and our instructor made his entrance. Zhao Gang, the object of Lin Yaoyao's obsessive infatuation in my previous life, and also an accomplice indirectly responsible for my death. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with dark skin and regular features, and indeed had something of the distinctive vigor of a soldier. As his gaze swept over the line, many of the girls blushed, including Lin Yaoyao beside me. "Training officially begins today, but there's one more thing you need to know. In my unit, there is only obedience. Do you understand?" Zhao Gang's voice rang out, clear and forceful. "I understand." The students answered in unison. "Too quiet, I can't hear you." "I understand." This time, the response was deafening. Zhao Gang nodded in satisfaction and began explaining the basic requirements of military training. I noticed that his gaze lingered on Lin Yaoyao several times. It was the same in my previous life. Lin Yaoyao's delicate makeup really stood out in the military training lineup of bare-faced students. "Now, we need to choose an acting class monitor to help me manage the class." Zhao Gang's words made my heart tighten. In my previous life, he appointed me directly, because my standing military posture was the most standard. This honor drove Lin Yaoyao mad with jealousy, and from then on she targeted me at every turn. Everyone whispered among themselves, but no one stood up. At this moment, Chen Shui suddenly raised her hand. "I recommend you Tao." Her college entrance exam score was the highest in our class, Chen Shui added, giving reasons for recommending me. Several classmates chimed in, and my heart raced. This was not what I had expected. In my previous life, Zhao Gang had chosen me directly. Why had it turned into classmates recommending me this time? Zhao Gang looked at me. "You Tao, step forward." I steeled myself and stepped out of the line, my mind racing. I had to find a way to get out of this assignment, but I couldn't make it seem too deliberate. "Reporting, instructor, I might not be suited for this," I said softly. "Why?" Zhao Gang frowned. Too, an idea struck me, and I suddenly clutched my stomach and crouched down. My stomach really hurts. This isn't entirely pretending to be sick. I really was having stomach cramps because of nervousness. Zhao Gang's expression changed from stern to concerned. "What's wrong? Did you eat something bad?" I nodded weakly. "Maybe it was the milk I drank this morning." "Chen Shui, help her to the infirmary," Zhao Gang ordered, then swept his gaze over the class. "Is there anyone else willing to be the temporary class monitor?" Instructor, I can do it." Lin Yaoyao eagerly raised her hand, her voice sweet and sticky. Zhao Gang sized her up a few times and nodded. "All right, you, the rest of you, attention, we're starting training." Chen Shui helped me toward the infirmary. After leaving the playground, I let out a long sigh of relief. "Are you okay?" Chen Shui asked worriedly. "Much better. It was probably just acute gastritis." I forced a smile. "What a pity, you could have been the class monitor." Chen Shui said with regret. I shook my head. Lin Yaoyao is more suited for it, but inwardly, I thought this was exactly the outcome I wanted. I spent the whole morning lying in the infirmary, successfully avoiding the most grueling morning training. The doctor diagnosed me with mild gastroenteritis, prescribed some medicine, and sent me home. I slowly made my way back to the field and just happened to catch the noon dismissal. Lin Yaoyao strode along at the very front of the line, already acting as if she were the class monitor. Seeing me, she lifted her chin smugly. "Yu Tao, are you feeling any better? The instructor asked me to keep track of attendance. You're marked absent this morning." In my previous life, I would have argued and explained that it was the instructor who told me to go to the infirmary, but this time I just nodded. That's only right." My compliance seemed to surprise her a little. She froze for a moment, then became even more arrogant. "You can't skip this afternoon's training again, or it'll affect our class's score." "Got it, class monitor." I deliberately stressed the last two words, watching a satisfied smile appear on her face. At lunchtime, Lin Yaoyao deliberately sat near Zhao Gang, occasionally letting out exaggerated laughter. I carried my tray and picked the farthest corner, eating in silence. "Peach, why are you sitting so far away?" Chen Shui said as she sat down beside me with her plate. "It's quiet here," I replied briefly. Chen Shui lowered her voice. "Lin Yaoyao is way too obvious, isn't she? She keeps leaning all over the instructor." I picked up a piece of potato and put it in my mouth, without saying anything. In my previous life, I had also discussed Lin Yaoyao like this with Chen Shui. Later, somehow, these words reached Lin Yaoyao's ears, which led to Chen Shui also being targeted. "I think the instructor seems to really fall for her act," Chen Shui continued, her tone laced with disdain. "We'd better not meddle in other people's business," I said softly. "Hurry up and eat, we still have training this afternoon." The afternoon training was even more grueling. Standing at attention under the scorching sun left many of the students swaying on the verge of collapse. Zhao Gang was exceptionally strict, and even the slightest lapse would earn a loud rebuke. "Yu Tao, relax your shoulders." He suddenly walked up to me and shouted. I hurriedly adjusted my posture, my heart pounding like a drum. In my previous life, he rarely scolded me so directly. After all, I was the class monitor he had appointed, but now I'm just an ordinary trainee. And I even faked being sick to skip training this morning. "You, what's your name?" Zhao Gang stopped in front of Lin Yaoyao, his voice suddenly much gentler, reporting. "Instructor, my name is Lin Yaoyao," she replied in a sweet, sugary voice, though her stance was anything but standard. "Good posture, loud voice. Keep it up." Zhao Gang nodded, the corners of his mouth curling slightly upward. I watched it all with my own eyes and sneered inwardly. The script from my past life was playing out again. Only this time I was no longer the protagonist. The fate between Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang was developing according to the predetermined trajectory. After training ended, the classmates were all exhausted. Lin and Yaoyao, however, were full of energy, circling Zhao Gang and asking him all sorts of questions. I silently packed up my things and prepared to leave, but was stopped by Zhao Gang. "Lin Yaoyao, you were absent this morning, so you'll have to add an extra half-hour of training tonight." My heart tightened, but I still nodded. "Yes, instructor." Lin Yaoyao, standing nearby, wore a gleeful, malicious smile. "The class monitor can keep you company too, Taozi." She deliberately emphasized the words, class monitor. "No need, I can do it myself," I said calmly. At 7 in the evening, I was alone on the playground, practicing standing at attention in military posture. The early autumn night breeze already carried a chill, making goosebumps rise on my arms. "Hang in there. 10 minutes to go." Zhao Gang paced in front of me, his gaze stern. I gritted my teeth, my legs already trembling slightly. Suddenly, Zhao Gang's phone rang. He glanced at it, frowned deeply, and walked off to answer it. "I told you I'm working, don't be so unreasonable." "So what? It's none of my business." Although he lowered his voice, the night was quiet, so I still caught a few fragments of the conversation. I only learned after my death in my previous life that Zhao Gang was already married. Now, that information had become a trump card in my hand. Zhao Gang hung up the phone and walked back with a dark expression. "That's it for today, dismissed." "Thank you, instructor." I gave a not quite standard military salute and turned to leave. Back in the dorm, Lin Yaoyao was excitedly telling her roommates about her great achievements as the class monitor. "The instructor said I have strong leadership ability and asked if I'd be interested in joining the army," she said animatedly. Seeing me come in, she immediately raised her voice. "Oh, look who's back from extra training. Did the instructor give you any special attention?" I put down my backpack and said flatly, the instructor took a phone call and let me finish early. Lin Yaoyao asked curiously, "What call? Who was it from?" "I don't know. Seems like it was a private matter." I deliberately answered vaguely. Lin Yaoyao pouted and picked up her phone, seemingly ready to ask Zhao Gang to get to the bottom of it, but a trace of gloom flashed in Chen Shue's eyes. This reaction was interesting, and I smiled as I turned around. In my previous life, the female student who ended up with Zhao Gang was Chen Shue. Could it be that Chen Shue already knew that Zhao Gang was married, or was she simply jealous of anyone and anything related to Zhao Gang? During the next few days of military training, Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang grew increasingly close. She always found all kinds of reasons to stay behind alone and ask questions, and when she came back, she would brag about how especially the instructor treated her. The instructor said I looked great in my military uniform. One night, Lin Yaoyao spun around in the dormitory. He also said he'd treat me to a meal after the military training ends. "Really, just you?" Chen Shui asked in surprise. "Of course not," Lin Yaoyao said smugly. Glancing at me, he said I could bring a few classmates along. "Taozi, do you want to go?" 3. In my past life, I made my second fatal mistake here. I not only refused, but also seriously told her that instructors privately asking students out violated the rules, so this time, I chose a more tactful answer. "Thanks for the invitation, but I may have something to do that day," I said with a smile. "Have fun." Lin Yaoyao seemed very satisfied with my answer and no longer pestered me. She turned to the other roommates and started planning what clothes to wear that day, laughing and joking non-stop, but after she came back, Lin Yaoyao's expression was noticeably worse. Not only did she slam the door every time, but whenever she passed by the other roommates' desks, she would always, accidentally, knock something off. Later, I heard Chen Shui say that on the day they ate together, the instructor picked up food for each of them and thoughtfully escorted them back to the dormitory. Lin Yaoyao's jealousy is really over the top. The instructor was just being gentlemanly. When Chen Shui said that, I gave no response, not even a nod. The atmosphere in the dorm had been eerily strange for a full 3 days, until one evening after training ended, when we had all finished tidying up and were ready to go to bed. Only then did Lin Yaoyao return to the dormitory, beaming from ear to ear. "He confessed his feelings to me," Lin Yaoyao said, holding a bouquet of roses and a gift. The roommates all congratulated her, and even Chen Shui moved over to join in. I, meanwhile, pretended to be asleep already, making faint snoring sounds. Lin Yaoyao was in high spirits and didn't care whether I offered my congratulations. After all, Zhao Gang hadn't given me any special treatment. After showing off in the dorm for a while, she ran off to other dorms too, and it wasn't until the dorm supervisor aunt discovered that our lights were still on that she sneaked back in quietly. Military training was quickly drawing to a close, and the relationship between Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang had become public. She would openly wipe Zhao Gang's sweat and hand him water during training breaks, and Zhao Gang was especially tolerant of her, seldom criticizing her in front of others. The day before the final presentation, the evening drill was temporarily changed into a military training gala, supposedly to help everyone relax so they could be in their best condition for tomorrow's presentation. A simple stage had been set up in the center of the playground, and the surrounding lights illuminated the night as brightly as day. "Peach, look." Chen Shui tugged at my sleeve and pointed to the side of the stage. Lin Yaoyao was standing together with Zhao Gang. She was wearing a short skirt that violated the military training discipline, her makeup exquisitely done, and she looked especially dazzling under the lights. "They seem to be performing together," I said calmly, though my heart was in turmoil. There was no such gala performance in my previous life. It seems my rebirth has already triggered some butterfly effects. The host announced the next program. "Please welcome instructor Zhao Gang and classmate Lin Yaoyao from 3rd Company, 5th Platoon, performing a duet of A Little Happiness." The whole venue erupted into a round of cheering and applause. Lin Yaoyao shyly held Zhao Gang's hand and walked onto the stage. Although Zhao Gang had a stern expression, he didn't shake off her hand. The music started, and Lin Yaoyao began singing in a sweet, cloying voice, "I hear the raindrops falling on the green grass." Halfway through, she suddenly turned to Zhao Gang, her eyes full of tender affection. When Zhao Gang sang the next part, he was clearly a little off-key, but the teasing cheers from the classmates below drowned everything out. When the two of them sang together, "It turns out you are the luck I most want to keep." Lin Yaoyao deliberately moved closer to Zhao Gang, their shoulders almost touching. "Give them a kiss, give them a kiss," several boys shouted from below, and the atmosphere on site grew so heated it was nearly out of control. I watched all this coldly from the sidelines, noticing that although Zhao Gang looked stern on the surface, his eyes were full of affection. Meanwhile, Lin Yaoyao was completely immersed in everyone's attention. When she reached the climax of the song, she even pretended to casually brush Zhao Gang's hand. So disgusting, flirting so openly. Chen Shui whispered in my ear, "Instructor Zhao is so fierce with us normally, but he's so gentle with her." I didn't respond, but I knew in my heart that this kind of public display of intimacy would only hasten their downfall. The rumor that the drill instructor had been dating a student only spread after military training ended, but in this life, Lin Yaoyao was being so brazen in front of the entire incoming class. Could she really see this through to the end? After the performance ended, Lin Yaoyao came running over to us, flushed with excitement. "How was it? The instructor and I coordinated pretty well, right?" "Awesome," several girls gathered around to flatter her, while Chen Shui curled her lip and said nothing. Lin Yaoyao suddenly shoved her little bag into my hands. "Taozi, help me hold this for a sec, the instructor needs me for something." Before I could respond, she ran toward Zhao Gang, who was talking with several leaders. "She really is treating you like a servant," Chen Shui said resentfully. I hefted the backpack. "It's pretty light, there shouldn't be much in it." As I was speaking, a ringtone suddenly came from inside the bag. Chen Shui and I looked at each other. "Is it her phone?" Chen Shui nodded. "I think so, but who would be calling at a time like this?" The ringtone kept ringing, and people nearby had already started looking over. I hesitated for a moment, opened the clasp on the small bag, and sure enough, there was a phone flashing inside. But it wasn't Lin Yaoyao's phone covered in flashy stickers and decorated with the latest trendy Labubu keychain. It was a black business phone. "This isn't Yaoyao's phone." I took out the phone, but the ringtone cut off. I pretended not to see the caller name that flashed across the screen for an instant, stuffed the phone back into the bag. "There'll be a missed call anyway." A flicker of probing light flashed through Chen Shui's eyes, and I caught it clearly. Holding the bag, I waited another 2 minutes, then pretended to be anxious and stamped my foot. "Why isn't she here yet? I'm dying to use the bathroom." "I'll hold it for you first. Go quickly and come back." Quickly. Chen Shui seemed a little impatient. After all, Lin Yaoyao had been gone for quite a while. "Okay, make sure you hold on to it, otherwise, when she comes back, she'll be yelling at both of us." After I finished my warning, I pretended to head to the restroom, but actually made a turn and hid behind a tree to observe. I saw Chen Shui quickly take out that phone, skillfully swipe to unlock it, and after flipping through it for a few moments, her expression changed from curiosity to shock. And in the end she even revealed an almost sinister smile. I knew a good show was about to start, for, by the time I came back, Chen Shui had already calmed down, and she handed me the bag. "They should be finishing up." Just as Chen Shui finished speaking, Lin Yaoyao walked over, her face unable to hide its smugness. "The instructor said I performed really well and wants to treat me to a meal alone after tomorrow's showcase." She took back her little bag, completely unaware of our unusual expressions. After returning to the dormitory, Chen Shui mysteriously pulled me onto the balcony. "Taozi, do you know what I saw?" I pretended to be bewildered. "What?" I saw. Just as Chen Shui was about to speak, there was a knock at the dormitory door. "Open the door, let me in, I forgot my keys." It was Lin Yaoyao's voice. I looked apologetic and went to open the door for her. As soon as she rushed in, she took out her makeup bag. "Today's spotlights were too hot, they ruined my makeup, I need to finish touching it up before I go over there." Lin Yaoyao carefully wiped away the smudged eyeliner in the mirror, while I turned to Chen Shui. "What were you just about to say?" Chen Shui shook her head. "It's nothing serious, we can talk about it tomorrow." I nodded, as if I really had no idea what was about to happen, and started getting ready for bed. That night, lying in bed and listening to Lin Yaoyao's soft laughter in her dreams, I imagined what might happen the next day and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, on the day of the showcase performance, the sunlight was so scorching it could practically melt a person. The entire school's freshmen lined up on the playground, waiting to showcase the results of 2 weeks of training. I stood in the line, my eyes occasionally darting toward the school gate, waiting for the appearance of that key person. I heard there's a woman making a scene at the school gate, saying she's looking for her husband, one classmate whispered, passing along the news they had just heard, but the security guard said no outsiders are allowed in. "There are already enough parents here today. If they let any more people in, we won't even get to eat in the cafeteria." My heart raced, but I kept a calm expression. At this time in my previous life, Zhao Gang's wife should already have discovered her husband's infidelity. But in my previous life no one had guided her to come to the school and make a scene. "Are you looking for a teacher or a student?" Could it be an instructor? Someone gossiped. Shoo, keep your voice down. Halfway through the performance, I saw Zhao Gang looking anxious as he kept checking his watch. Suddenly, he walked over to the chief instructor and said something in a low voice, apparently wanting to leave early. Your class hasn't even started yet, and you want to leave? The chief instructor frowned tightly. Zhao Gang looked anxious, and it was clear he had been refused. Soon it was our class's turn to perform, marching in step, goose-stepping, changing formations. Our class finished the performance. Although there were some flaws, they did not detract from its overall excellence. On top of that, with a beauty like Lin Yaoyao leading the way, the cheers our class received were even louder than those of the other classes. By the time we returned to the playground and lined up, I noticed that Chen Shui, who had been at the end of the formation, had already disappeared without a trace. Zhao Gang once again left the formation, wanting to go find the chief instructor. Just then, I deliberately said loudly, "Instructor, don't leave yet. We still want to take a photo with you after the performance." Lin Yaoyao immediately chimed in, "That's right, instructor, don't rush off." Zhao Gang hesitated for a moment and hadn't said anything yet when a commotion suddenly broke out at the edge of the playground. A middle-aged woman in a red dress broke through the security guards and rushed in, her high heels striking the plastic track in an angry rhythm. Her gaze swept across the room like radar before finally locking onto Lin Yaoyao. "It's you, isn't it, that shameless homewrecker?" The woman strode straight toward Lin Yaoyao. Before Lin Yaoyao could even react, a loud slap had already landed on her face. A chorus of sharp gasps rang out through the room. "What are you doing?" Lin Yaoyao screamed, clutching her face, the slap mark rapidly swelling beneath her delicate makeup. "What am I doing?" The woman sneered, pulling a stack of photos from her bag and slapping them onto Lin Yaoyao. "When you were seducing my husband, why didn't you ask yourself what you were doing?" The photos scattered across the floor like snowflakes, all of them intimate shots of Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang, kissing in a corner of the training grounds, feeding each other in the cafeteria, and the most explicit one showed Lin Yaoyao sitting on Zhao Gang's lap, their lips locked, a silver thread stretching between them. Lin Yaoyao's face turned from red to white to green. Suddenly, like an enraged lioness, she lunged at the woman. "What do you think you are? Zhao Gang stopped loving you ages ago." The two instantly became locked in a scuffle. Lin Yaoyao grabbed the woman by the hair, while the woman seized the collar of Lin Yaoyao's military training uniform. Zhao Gang stood frozen in place, as if struck by lightning, unable to move. "Zhao Gang, are you just going to stand there and watch?" The woman roared between struggles, taking advantage of the moment. Lin Yaoyao slapped her back. "Old woman, Zhao Gang loves me." This slap completely enraged the woman. After all, she was more than 10 years older, and both her strength and fighting experience far surpassed Lin Yaoyao's. She caught Lin Yaoyao's wrist in a backhand grip, seized her collar with the other hand, then gave a sudden push and trip, sending Lin Yaoyao crashing heavily to the ground. "Ah!" Lin Yaoyao's shrill scream made everyone present involuntarily shrink their necks. The woman looked down at her from above. "You little brat, trying to fight me? Zhao Gang can lead the military training team only because of my brother's connections in the army. You think he really thinks highly of someone like you?" This sentence exploded across the room like a bomb. The students buzzed with discussion, and the school leaders' faces looked as dark as soot. Zhao Gang finally came to his senses and rushed forward to grab his wife. "Stop making a scene. Let's go home and talk." "Go home," the woman shook off his hand, tears in her eyes but with fierce resolve. "Zhao Gang, I'm telling you, we're getting divorced. We'll handle the paperwork tomorrow." After saying that, she turned to Lin Yaoyao, who had just managed to get back on her feet. "And you little bitch, just wait to be fired." Just then, Chen Shui slowly walked over from behind the crowd, wearing an exaggerated look of surprise on her face. "Oh my God, what happened?" I stood in the line, watching Chen Shui's over-the-top performance, and couldn't help laughing inwardly. Her timing was perfect. She showed up right when the conflict was at its peak, distancing herself from it while also being able to watch her masterpiece up close. Lin Yaoyao's hair was in disarray, the collar of her military uniform torn, blood still at the corner of her mouth, and it looked like she was about to lunge again at any moment. The school leaders finally stepped in and took Zhao Gang and his wife, along with Lin Yaoyao, away from the scene. The performance ended hastily, but everyone's attention was no longer on the show. "Oh my God, I never expected Instructor Zhao to be married. Lin Yaoyao is in trouble now. Seducing a married serviceman could get her expelled." The classmates were buzzing with discussion, while I stood quietly in the formation, my mind utterly calm. The tragedy of my past life was finally no longer my concern this time. 3 days later, the disciplinary results were announced. Zhao Gang was recalled by the army for handling. Lin Yaoyao received a major demerit, and the entire school was notified for criticism, and I, for the legitimate reason of tense dormitory relations, was approved to move to a better 4-person room. I thought things would end there, but I had underestimated Lin Yaoyao's desire for revenge. That evening, I was reading in the library when I suddenly heard a commotion outside. I ran out to take a look and saw a crowd gathered by the lake. Someone fell into the water. Looks like 2 girls were fighting, and one pushed the other in. I was startled and pushed through the crowd to the front. Chen Shui was seen sitting on the shore drenched to the skin, coughing, while Lin Yaoyao was pinned down by several security guards, still struggling wildly. She deserved it, that snitch, Lin Yaoyao screamed, her makeup washed away by tears, making her look vicious and terrifying. If she hadn't meddled, how could I have? Lin Yaoyao, the department head shouted sharply. To stop her, do you know that intentionally injuring someone carries legal responsibility? It turned out that Lin Yaoyao had somehow found out that Chen Shui had contacted Zhao Gang's wife. Today she had deliberately cornered Chen Shui, and after a few words went wrong, she directly pushed her into the lake. If a teacher hadn't happened to pass by, the consequences would have been unimaginable. After this incident, the school could no longer tolerate it. A week later, Lin Yaoyao was ordered to withdraw from school, and her departing figure was tinged with obsession. I didn't show myself, I just watched silently as she was pushed away by the security guards. The murderer who killed me in my previous life has finally reaped the consequences in this one. As for Chen Shui, although she wasn't punished as a victim, she came down with severe pneumonia after that fall into the water and took a semester off. Worse still, her act of informing on others became known throughout the school, and no one dared to confide in her anymore. I occasionally saw her in the cafeteria, always sitting alone in a corner, staring gloomily at her phone. As for Zhao Gang, I heard that after his divorce, he was kicked out of the army for misconduct, and later went to a small county town to work as a security guard. Standing by the window of my new dormitory, the sunlight gently fell on my transfer of major notice. The life ruined by Lin Yaoyao in my previous life had finally returned to the right track in this one. The wind stirred the curtains, bringing the crisp freshness of early autumn. I took a deep breath and let out all the grievances and grudges of the past. From today on, this is truly a new beginning. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I only found out after I died that my deskmate had stolen my fate using a luck-borrowing technique. She, who was uneducated and untalented, stole my fortune to get into a 985 university. But this technique has an evil requirement: she must keep progressing. Once you regress, you must repay the borrowed luck tenfold. After being reborn, I immediately pushed my grades to the top of the grade, then started slacking off. My deskmates suffered the consequences. After I died, the spirit realm refused to take me in. They say my home was stolen by a ghost. A talent and handsome appearance cultivated over 10 lifetimes, and the good fortune accumulated through a lifetime of hard work, all ended up being a wedding dress for the ghost. This ghost was brought in by my deskmate, Zhao Yuanyuan. I was a clever, beautiful, and lively child growing up in a harmonious and happy family. Ever since I met my deskmate Zhao Yuanyuan in my first year of high school, my fate completely changed. Despite studying hard, my exam results kept getting worse. Zhao Yuanyuan, who never studied at all, saw her grades improve more and more. I clearly work out hard, but my body is getting fatter and fatter. Zhao Yuanyuan, who eats junk food all day, is getting slimmer and slimmer. At the same time, my family also suddenly encountered a change. My mother suddenly became paralyzed in bed, and my father abandoned us. The family suddenly fell into a crisis of poverty. In the end, despite my diligent work, I still couldn't make ends meet. I died from a combination of poverty and illness. Fortunately, the spirit world gave me a chance to be reborn. Opening my eyes, I found myself back in my senior year of high school. This was the darkest day of my life. Just after the placement exam ended, Zhao Yuanyuan suddenly accused me of cheating. She was an outstanding student, and her words carried a lot of weight. For a moment, the classmates who were watching the commotion surrounded me, and the homeroom teacher was called over. Classmate Zhou Xiying, I really didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Although I am your good friend, I still have to step forward and expose you. Zhao Yuanyuan widened her eyes, her fair little face filled with shock and disappointment. The classmates began to discuss among themselves. Yes, Xiao Yuanyuan supervised Zhou Xiying's studies every day and encouraged her, yet she still did such a thing. Xiao Yuanyuan must be so disappointed, not only fat and ugly, but also cheating. Truly, the face reflects the heart. Xiao Yuanyuan is beautiful and kind-hearted. Someone as pure as her would never imagine that people could be this despicable. I was an unnoticed, invisible presence in the class. I kept insisting I hadn't cheated, but no one listened. The teacher was furious and threatened to invalidate my exam results. I'm so anxious I could cry. Suddenly, Xiao Yuanyuan became even more anxious than I was. She burst into tears right then and there, her eyes red as she pleaded with the teacher to give me another chance. Teacher, even though this request is unreasonable, I still have to say it. Please don't invalidate Xiying's grade. I know cheating is a serious offense, but her mother has been paralyzed for a year. If her grades are invalidated, her mother will surely be heartbroken. Please give her another chance. She spoke with sincere words, her voice trembling and tears streaming down her face. The classmates praised her for being both beautiful and kind-hearted, and even the homeroom teacher was moved by her. I was so anxious that I couldn't find the words to speak. Xiao Yuanyuan took my hand, her face full of concern. Although I'm very disappointed, I've already forgiven you in my heart. I'll still supervise your studies in the future. Xiying, could you first admit your mistake to the teacher? Seeing me hesitate, Xiao Yuanyuan whispered, squeezing my hand, and said, you're being too selfish. Your mother is paralyzed. Only by admitting it can you go home quickly to take care of her. The teacher won't blame you. I was completely stunned at the time, only knowing that even if I speak, no one would listen, so I lowered my head and silently accepted everything, bearing this disgrace. What's laughable is that because of this, Xiao Yuanyuan gained a good reputation. Treat classmates well, be pure and kind. With outstanding looks and excellent grades, she instantly became the pure goddess in the hearts of countless boys, and besides having poor grades, being fat and ugly, I gained another flaw, low moral character. From then on, I became like a rat in the gutter in the class, filthy and isolated by everyone. My entire senior year of high school was extremely oppressive. Now, I have learned the truth. It turns out that Xiao Yuanyuan, worried that stealing my grades wouldn't allow her to maintain progress this time, resorted to cheating. After the exam, the proctor found the cheat sheet and then framed me for it. When the teacher announced that my score would be invalidated, she was worried that the score she had stolen from me would also be invalidated, which is why she pleaded with the teacher so desperately. Now, having been reborn, I have returned to this moment of being accused of cheating. I coldly glanced around at the chattering classmates, then took a few steps up to the podium and slammed the chalkboard eraser hard against it. The classroom instantly fell silent. The homeroom teacher was dumbfounded. He probably didn't expect that I, who usually kept a low profile, would be so bold today, standing on the podium. I looked down at Xiao Yuanyuan below and asked loudly, classmate Xiao Yuanyuan, did you really see me cheat? Xiao Yuanyuan raised her fair little face and declared confidently, of course, I saw you cheating with a cheat sheet with my own eyes. Alright, since classmate Xiao Yuanyuan has accused me of cheating, let's first take a look at the evidence. As I spoke, I snatched the cheat sheet from the invigilator's hand. After glancing at the cheat sheet, I turned to the homeroom teacher, held it up, and said in a firm voice, Teacher, this cheat sheet is not in my handwriting at all. It's Xiao Yuanyuan's. Gasps erupted from the audience. Before I could finish, Xiao Yuanyuan suddenly rushed onto the stage, snatched the cheat sheet, tore it to pieces, and threw it out the window. The entire class erupted in an uproar. The homeroom teacher exclaimed in surprise, classmate Xiao Yuanyuan, why did you throw away the evidence? Xiao Yuanyuan was clearly getting nervous, panting and stammering. The homeroom teacher grew distressed. Yuanyuan, you couldn't have really. Xiao Yuanyuan suddenly teared up and changed her tone. Teacher, please believe me, I didn't cheat. She suddenly pointed at me, her eyes glistening with tears. Seeing, I've been so good to you, even lending you my notes to study, why would you forge my handwriting to frame me? I'm so disappointed. As she spoke, she actually began to sob. Her tears made her look pitiful and endearing. Such a clumsy excuse. Yet someone slowly began to believe it. That's right, Xiao Yuanyuan is so naive. She must have been tricked by that fatso Zhou Xiying. This Zhou Xiying is really too much. Repaying kindness with enmity. It's true that ugly people cause more trouble. The homeroom teacher stepped forward to comfort Xiao Yuanyuan, then turned around and scolded me. Yuanyuan's excellence is obvious to everyone. Instead of wasting time framing others, you should spend more effort reading a couple of pages. Several boys who secretly had a crush on Zhao Yuanyuan even glared angrily and clenched their fists. It seemed like they were ready to rush up and beat me up at any moment, to play the hero and save the beauty. I curled my lips mockingly, looking deeply at Zhao Yuanyuan, a slender figure, skin as smooth as milk, and silky black hair, along with her outstanding academic performance. All of this is the result of my day and night efforts. Now they all belong to her. Fine, then don't blame me for not holding back. I lowered my head, gathering my thoughts for a moment, then looked up with tears streaming down my face. Yuanyuan, I like you so much, why are you falsely accusing me? Zhao Yuanyuan was stunned, clearly not expecting that someone as straightforward as me had also learned to play the green tea game. You don't believe me, so I might as well die. Suddenly, I burst into tears and rushed toward the windowsill, pretending to jump. It's not the poor grades of students that are feared, but their attempts at suicide. The homeroom teacher could no longer focus on comforting Zhao Yuanyuan. Pushing her aside, she hurriedly rushed to stop me. Zhao Yuanyuan was shoved off balance by the homeroom teacher. I wailed and pointed at Zhao Yuanyuan, tears streaming down my face. It was you who cheated. My grades are so poor. How could I possibly have the skill to imitate your handwriting? This statement actually made the classmates believe it. In their eyes, I was a hard-working but hopeless fool, truly not clever enough for such a scheme. I continued to exert myself, crying out to the heavens and the earth. I'm so wronged, so helpless, give me back my innocence. Apologize to me, otherwise, I'll prove my innocence with my death. As I spoke, I continued to climb onto the windowsill. The teacher struggled to restrain me, shouting in panic, Zhao Yuanyuan, apologize to Zhou Xiying right now. Zhao Yuanyuan stomped her foot angrily. Why should I apologize? I won't. The teacher had no time to indulge Zhao Yuanyuan now. The most important thing was me, she commanded. Apologize immediately, otherwise, I'll revoke your 3 good student qualification. Zhao Yuanyuan gasped in shock and could only lower her head to apologize. I'm sorry. The classmates began to whisper among themselves. Could it really be that Zhao Yuanyuan cheated? Oh my goodness, I put on a wronged expression, trying my best to hold back my sobs, and wiped my tears as I walked over to Zhao Yuanyuan. Yuanyuan, even though you wronged me, I don't blame you. Zhao Yuanyuan widened her eyes, filled with disbelief. I forced a smile, took her hand gently, and said, I know you have high ambitions, which is why you cheated, but we are good friends, and I will help you correct your mistakes. Zhao Yuanyuan shook off my hand angrily, gritting her teeth. Teacher, look at her, she's such a hypocrite. What, Yuanyuan, you actually can't stand me anymore, I might as well just die. As I spoke, I lunged toward the windowsill again. The homeroom teacher, with a headache, rushed over to pull me back. Zhao Yuanyuan, watch your attitude, Zhou Xiying has already forgiven you. It's impolite to keep provoking her. Seeing that I was gradually calming down, the teacher quickly said, all right, let's put this matter behind us. Zhou Xiying is generous and understanding, let's all give her a round of applause. Amidst the applause, I smiled and watched Zhao Yuanyuan's face contort with anger. Deskmate, don't be angry, the game has only just begun. I quickly ran home, took care of my mother, and set up a small desk by her bedside to study. My mother, feeling sorry for me, took on some handcraft work to do beside me. Just like in my previous life, our lives were frugal yet warm, but I knew that after the college entrance exam, my mother's condition would worsen, and being poor and having a bad reputation, I simply couldn't raise the money for my mother's medical treatment. Fearing she would be a burden to me, my mother actually chose to take her own life. This became the eternal pain of my previous life. I knew the surgery cost was huge for me, and even if I dropped out of school to work, it would be like trying to put out a fire with a cup of water. However, in our small county, the prize for the top scorer in the college entrance exam is several 100,000 yuan. As long as I could get that money, I could save my mother. I will reclaim everything that belongs to me before the college entrance examination, then I will strive with all my might to pluck a star from the top of the pyramid. Mom asked if she was holding me back. I was afraid that Mom might think the same way as in my previous life, and I panicked instantly. I held my mother's hand tightly, tears streaming down to the crook of my arm. Mom, you are my greatest motivation for living. If I lose you, there really won't be anyone left in the world who cares for me. My mother held my hand in return, understanding everything. Back at school, I continued to frantically solve problems and correct mistakes, repeating the cycle endlessly. This, however, made Zhao Yuanyuan quite happy. She enjoys watching me work hard because the harder I try, the more she gains. I could also hear her conversations with the minions during the gaps. Ugh, pretending to study is so exhausting. Do you think she'll end up studying herself silly? Zhao Yuanyuan pretended to read. A sinister voice came through. I'm not interested in those. Just keep improving, or else, then I can't let her work so hard. What if she improves too much and I can't surpass her next time? Zhao Yuanyuan twirled her pen, looking at me impatiently, and whined, hey, move over to your side a bit, you're crowding me. I rolled my eyes at her, scooted closer to my side, and continued working on the problem. She suddenly knocked over the water glass, and the water flooded all the books on my bookshelf. What are you doing? I whispered, immediately standing up and frantically searching for paper to wipe the books. Gosh, why are you so hostile toward me? I didn't do it on purpose. Zhao Yuanyuan pouted. Her voice was loud, and the quiet classmates in the study room all looked up at her. She immediately teared up, her voice trembling with a sob. Don't keep pushing me, I'll just give you my seat. The boy behind us couldn't stand to see a beauty being wronged, so he slammed his desk hard into my back and said viciously, Fatso, you're crushing me. Now I cherish every moment like gold and have no time to waste on them. I simply picked up my things and moved to the last row. Wang Yuanyuan suddenly slumped over her desk, and after a moment, faint sobbing could be heard. I'm really fed up, so I sped up moving my things. As a result, the boy behind me took advantage of my distraction and tripped me with his foot. I'm already heavy, so my fall looked quite comical. This boy immediately led the way in laughing heartily, and several classmates around him joined in the laughter. The boy at the back desk shouted loudly, look, this fatso fell. Ha ha ha. Zhao Yuanyuan suddenly looked up, saw my miserable state, and burst into laughter. That boy gazed at her infatuatedly. Zhao Yuanyuan, you look so cute when you laugh. I endured the intense pain and looked at their terrifying smiling faces. I didn't want to bother with you all, but you've really disgusted me. After class, I immediately went to the head teacher and reported that the top student, Zhao Yuanyuan, was in a premature relationship. It's already the final year of high school, and Zhao Yuanyuan has such good grades. She can't let a premature relationship affect her performance. Teacher, you need to do something about it. The homeroom teacher immediately started observing closely and found that the two of them were indeed too ambiguous. Zhao Yuanyuan is the top student in the class, and the school immediately took it seriously. The homeroom teacher, the dean of students, and the principal took turns talking to them. My world finally became quiet. Every time I do a problem, I am extremely focused. In my senior year of high school, there were basically no new lessons, so I focused on studying one review guide thoroughly. I corrected my mistakes over and over again. Finally, I minimized my error rate to the lowest possible. The questions in the first mock exam were relatively simple, and I scored 702 points directly. No, to be precise, Zhao Yuanyuan scored 702 points, becoming the top student in the grade. Praise from teachers and classmates surrounded her. Only I know how panicked she is right now. From the back row, I stared intently at Zhao Yuanyuan's trembling figure. Dear deskmate, the backlash has begun. Are you ready? At noon after school, I was helping the window master serve food in the cafeteria. I've been doing this part-time job for a year. After the meal rush, I can take a free meal home to share with my mom, saving the cost of one meal. Master, give me a little more crispy fried pork. My daughter loves this. A familiar voice came. I looked up and made eye contact with the middle-aged man across from me. It was my dad. Seeing, how could you? He panicked. I didn't respond. Just stared at him, my hand trembling as I shook it, leaving only 2 pieces of crispy pork in the spoon. Brother Hai, come quickly, Yuanyuan is about to blow out the candles. A sharp, clear female voice called out. My father glanced at me guiltily, then turned and walked away. The master gave me an approving thumbs up, marveling at how I had grasped the essence of trembling hands. I lowered my head with a silent laugh, stealing a glance at the family of 3 in the center of the cafeteria. My dad and Zhao Yuanyuan's mother, Zhao Rui, surrounded Zhao Yuanyuan, singing, Happy Birthday. The candles on the cake gradually turned into glaring spots of light, and only then did I realize tears were streaming down my face. Actually, there's nothing strange about it. I already knew in my previous life, my dad had long been having an affair with Zhao Yuanyuan's mother, Zhao Rui. Zhao Rui was the accountant at my parents' company, and they got together while my mom was pregnant. Once, my mother was beautiful and gentle, and I was clever and adorable, so my father could never bring himself to divorce. Later, in my first year of high school, I met Zhao Yuanyuan. My mother's health began to deteriorate, and by my second year of high school, she was completely bedridden. My father started considering divorce, constantly subjecting us to emotional neglect to pressure my mother into agreeing. Zhao Rui helped my father transfer the assets, leaving my mother and me with nothing as we were forced out of the house. I hate him, but seeing their warm scene, I couldn't help but shed tears. I quickly packed a large portion of food and hurried past them. Seeing Zhao Yuanyuan called out to me. She glanced at my lunch tray, which was piled high with food, and frowned. Eating so much, aren't you afraid of gaining weight? Throw it away now. I didn't want to pay her any attention at first, but when I turned around and saw her slender figure, I smiled with an ambiguous expression. Yeah, I've been controlling my diet, but it never works. Seeing you eat and drink whatever you want every day and still stay so thin, I'm planning to learn from you. You, Zhao Yuanyuan frowned, her little face scrunching up. Can you compare yourself to me? I have a naturally slim constitution. I just don't gain weight no matter what I eat. You should throw that food away, and don't go home at noon. Use the time to study. You can't slack off. Oh, why should I study? I've been studying for so long and I'm still at the bottom of the class. I'm not going to study. I hugged my lunchbox and kept walking. Zhao Yuanyuan grew anxious, reached out to give me a push, and lectured me from her position of authority. Even if your grades aren't good, you can't give up on yourself. I'll make sure you study hard. I rolled my eyes. Are you crazy? Whether I study or not is none of your business. Stop acting all high and mighty. Get lost. I pushed Zhao Yuanyuan aside, and she suddenly fell to the ground, crying and calling for her dad. My dad immediately jogged over, helped her up with a pained expression, and scolded me. Yuanyuan is just simple-minded. She was kindly reminding you. Don't mistake good for bad. Zhao Rui also ran over, fussing over Zhao Yuanyuan with concern, and yelled at me tearfully, taking kindness for malice. How can you be so ill-mannered? Manners, I sneered, retorting sarcastically. A mistress has the nerve to lecture me about manners. You sure had a lot of manners when you climbed into my dad's bed. You, Zhao Rui raised her hand to hit me, but I grabbed her wrist. The glaring gold bracelet hurt my eyes. How dare you speak to your Aunt Zhao like that? What has your mother been teaching you all this time? My father clenched his fists and scolded me angrily. My mom, I stared fiercely at my dad, furious. My mom has been with you for over 20 years, and you've never bought her anything. Zhou Hai, you don't deserve to mention my mom. I turned and walked away, holding the lunchbox. I ran quickly, tears uncontrollably spilling onto the takeout bag. The tea eggs in the takeout bag were crushed when they pushed and shoved each other. That's what I prepared to eat for my birthday today. I started binge eating. I had been dieting to lose weight before and never had a full meal. After eating to my heart's content, I felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. To avoid studying, I even started arriving late and leaving early. This gave me more time to take care of my mother. Zhao Yuanyuan came to see me many times, earnestly urging me to study, but I just wouldn't do it. She had grown accustomed to being lazy herself, and after trying many times, she simply couldn't keep up with studying, so she could only force me to do it. Later she said, if the child is not taught, it is the father's fault. She brought my dad over to have him teach me a lesson. In the cozy Western restaurant, my dad eagerly cut the steak for me. Yuan and your Aunt Zhao are both warm-hearted. They heard that you haven't been in a good state for studying lately and insisted that I come to talk to you. I stirred the cream of mushroom soup. Oh, my dad handed the steak to me. Auntie Zhao said that studying is your own business. Only those with good intentions will tell you. Others would be too busy laughing at you behind your back. Really, I almost laughed, taking a sip of cola. What else did Auntie Zhao tell you? Auntie Zhao said. My dad suddenly scratched his head in frustration. Seeing, when did you learn to be so sarcastic? I know you still resent me for abandoning you and your mother, but your mom, she's paralyzed. She's not even a normal woman anymore. Seeing, am I supposed to stay with her for the rest of my... I raised my hand and splashed the cola onto his face. My father's words abruptly stopped, his face filled with shame and anger. I turned cold, slammed the cup down heavily, picked up my backpack, and walked away. If the child is not taught, it is the father's fault. Zhou Hai, you are not qualified to be my father. There are only half a month left until the second mock exam, and Zhao Yuanyuan is almost going crazy with anxiety, constantly begging the malevolent spirit for mercy. No matter how I urge her to study, she just won't learn. What should I do? Please, can you help me? During evening self-study, she kept bowing in front of her desk, and everyone around her thought she had gone mad from studying. The malevolent spirit shrieked at her. What are you howling about in the middle of the night? Since you and your mother summoned me, you must follow my rules. I haven't even bothered you about your weight. Just keep your grades from slipping. Is that so hard? Get out of here. I was watching her from the back row, smiling and thoroughly enjoying the scene. Suddenly, Xiao Yuanyuan screamed and rushed toward my seat, shoving my books to the floor. Zhou Xiying, why aren't you trying harder? You eat junk food every day and have gained 10 pounds, do you know that? You're late and leave early every day, reading novels in class. Do you know there are only 15 days left until the second mock exam? Have you no shame? She cried out in accusation, raising her fist as if to strike me, but suddenly stumbled and nearly fell. I quietly stared at the four-leaf clover gold bracelet on her wrist. A scene from When Our Family of Three Went Shopping flashed through my mind. Mom complained that Dad didn't buy her the 3 golds when they got married, and she couldn't put down the one she tried on at the jewelry store. In the end, she still couldn't bring herself to buy it. What will it take for you to finally start studying? Xiao Yuanyuan stomped her feet in anger, covering her face as she cried. Several classmates in the class came over to persuade her, telling her not to bother helping me. This hopeless mess, how dare she not help me? She still wants to suck my blood. I looked up at Xiao Yuanyuan, expressionless. Give me 20,000, what? Xiao Yuanyuan's eyes widened. Give me 20,000, and I'll learn. I slowly curled the corner of my mouth. Your bracelet plus Xiao Rui's gold bracelet add up to exactly 20,000. Zhou Xiying, you're crazy for money. What a worthless life. The classmates in the class had never heard such a perverse request and angrily cursed me. They advised her to give up on me, condemning me as the snake that bit the farmer. He actually asked the beautiful classmate who was supervising his studies for money. The boy sitting behind him felt even more heartbroken for Xiao Yuanyuan's kindness and innocence. Glaring at me with gritted teeth, Xiao Yuanyuan was so anxious she broke into a sweat. Gold prices have gone up now. How am I supposed to come up with 20,000? I stared at her, my eyes feeling a bit sore. Ask your dad for it. He loves you the most. Xiao Yuanyuan really managed to get 20,000. I stared at those 2 stacks of money, gave a bitter smile, and immediately took my mom to the hospital for a full-body checkup. However, no cause for the illness was found. Even the doctors were at a loss. It suddenly occurred to me that the ghost claimed to have been summoned by Xiao Yuanyuan and her son, which might be related to the exchange of fate. We must make Xiao Yuanyuan's grades decline and quickly break this fortune-changing technique. I began to study on the surface but let my mind wander in secret. I firmly refused to let any knowledge enter my mind. Xiao Yuanyuan moved to the back row to personally supervise my studies. With the leftover money, buy a cooling mat for mom, install an air conditioner and an alarm at home. I pretended to do my homework while calculating in my mind. Hey, what are you writing? Are you not studying? Xiao Yuanyuan glared at me with red eyes and growled. What nonsense are you talking about? I lazily lifted my eyelids and yawned. Don't I want to do well? Can you please stop bothering me? Xiao Yuanyuan was left speechless, angrily pounding the table. You weren't like this before. I glanced at Xiao Yuanyuan. Her face was shiny with oil. A few pimples had already appeared on her forehead, and she had gained a noticeable amount of weight. It seems my recent indulgence has been quite effective. I'm in a slightly better mood, so I poke her and say, hey, you've gained some weight lately. Xiao Yuanyuan is so angry that she clenches her fists and snaps the 2B pencil in half. I continue, and also, you have so many pimples on your face now. What's going on? Xiao Yuanyuan suddenly pouts and starts crying, sobbing as she says, can you just stop talking and focus on studying, please? Hey, don't cry. I teased with a mischievous grin. You look even uglier when you cry. In the quiet evening self-study session, Xiao Yuanyuan let out a sorrowful wail. I continued to pretend to be hard at work. The math teacher gave a pop quiz. Xiao Yuanyuan noticed I couldn't solve the last challenging problem, and her face turned pale with anger. After school, she practically screamed as she lunged at me, grabbing my head and slamming it hard against the wall behind me. Have you been studying seriously at all? How could this happen? How could this happen? There are only 10 days left until the exam. Do you realize how serious this is? It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Go die, she roared, nearly hysterical. My head throbbed with pain. Warm liquid trickled down from the back of my head. I wiped it off casually, squinted, and saw it was blood. I looked at her expressionlessly. Xiao Yuanyuan's pupils contracted sharply, and the hand gripping my hair suddenly loosened. You did this on purpose. The classroom was empty. I curled the corner of my mouth and smiled silently. Xiao Yuanyuan ran out of the classroom as if she had seen a ghost. Dear deskmate, now I know the truth. Is it too late? At that moment, watching her panicked figure, I truly thought I was about to succeed, but she actually targeted my mom. One day, I came home from evening self-study. I softly called out, Mom, why aren't the lights on? No one responded to me. Suddenly, something felt off. I immediately rushed to the bedroom. Under the light and shadow of the window, someone was dragging my mother to the ground. I immediately turned on the light, seeing my mother with her mouth and nose taped shut, almost suffocating, and the terrified boy in the back seat. I immediately grabbed a stool and threw it at him, but he pushed me away. We silently wrestled with each other. I exerted all my strength, fighting desperately. For the first time, I felt the disparity in strength between men and women. He quickly pinned me to the ground with my hands behind my back. I struggled desperately on the ground, shouting, "Let go of my mom, she's suffocating." The boy behind me was also panicking. He pressed down on me with a stool, then leaned over to tear the tape covering my mother's mouth and nose. I don't know where the strength came from, but I seized the opportunity, pushed myself up with all my might, and swung the stool at him. Just as he was about to be knocked down by my blow, my head was suddenly struck, and I fell to the ground. The boy behind me immediately restrained me. I looked up and saw Zhao Yuanyuan and her mother standing proudly in front of me. Zhao Rui rushed at me like a rooster, slapping me several times in quick succession. "You little bitch, how dare you say I have no manners? I'll beat you to death, beat you to death." My mother struggled on the ground, crying and cursing them as heartless thieves. Zhao Rui rushed over again to hit my mother. I shouted, "Zhao Rui, if you dare touch my mother, I won't learn anything, I'll ruin your daughter." Zhao Yuanyuan angrily slapped me. "You knew everything all along, you were deliberately toying with me." I spat at her fiercely. "Dirty thief, stealing someone else's life." Zhao Yuanyuan raised her face, snorted, and strode over to my mother, lifting her foot to stomp hard on my mother's palm. My mother cried out in pain. I shouted, "Are you even human? Let go of my mom, if you have the guts. Come at me." Zhao Yuanyuan didn't stop her foot, and my mother, enduring the pain, yelled for me not to worry about her. I cried. Zhao Rui rushed forward, slapping me hard while roaring, "Will you learn or not? Will you learn or not?" I weakly lowered my head, my eyes covered in blood, almost fainting on the ground. "Let go of my mom, I'll learn, I'll learn." "Now you know to be scared, but it's too late. Brother Sen, take her mom away," Zhao Yuanyuan said triumphantly. The boy at the back desk looked a bit terrified, but he obediently carried my mom on his back. Zhao Yuanyuan walked up to me, pinched my bleeding chin, and threatened, "Don't try any more tricks, or you know what will happen." I raised my head, stared straight at her, and a faint, abrupt smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. She furrowed her brows tightly. "What are you laughing at?" At that moment, the sound of police sirens filled the air. They panicked in an instant. Zhao Rui was detained for 15 days. Zhao Yuanyuan and the boy in the back row, being students, were detained for 5 days after receiving criticism and education. Yes, I was well prepared. Ling Jun told me that the Chang ghost survives by absorbing people's evil thoughts. The greater the evil thoughts, the better the Chang ghost lives. So the Chang ghost will definitely keep provoking the summoner to do evil. I'm not worried about what she might do to me, because I've already died once. The only worry is my mother, who is bedridden with paralysis. So, after receiving the 20,000 yuan from Zhao Yuanyuan, I meticulously reinforced the security measures in my mother's room, but my mother still got injured. My mother, who used to be so fond of beauty, now lies in bed with thick bandages wrapped around her hands, terrified and helpless, worried that I haven't been able to make money from handicrafts lately. What should I do about my living expenses? My heart felt as if it had been stabbed by a knife. When my father came to handle the civil compensation, he apologized repeatedly. He said he never expected the mother and daughter to be so foolish and asked me not to take it to heart. I'm very particular about things. I demanded twice the amount of money from him and chased him out of the rental house I share with my mom using a broom. Over the past 10 days, I've been busy taking care of my mom and recovering from my injuries. Hardly going to school at all, with nothing else to do. I posted what they did that day online. This matter has garnered the attention of many righteous netizens, yet Zhao Yuanyuan still ranked first in the entire grade. The school took it very seriously. They intended to cover up the incident, have the homeroom teacher talk to me and delete the post, but most people aren't blind. The classmates in the class are filled with indignation at the actions of Zhao Yuanyuan and her group, beating a disabled person. That's just too morally corrupt. I never saw it before. Yeah, is she addicted to playing the saint? To help a classmate study, she actually did something like this. Unbelievable. By the way, why is she so obsessed with making Zhou Xiying study? I've never heard of such a thing. The classmates didn't know her motives, but her actions left countless people filled with indignation. Zhao Yuanyuan's image of purity and kindness completely crumbled. After being released from detention, she never dared to come to school. On the day of the second mock exam, she simply couldn't bring herself to face the test, but after all, she was one of the top students in the school. The principal personally arranged a car and sent her into the examination hall with great expectations. After the exam, Zhao Yuanyuan stopped me on my way home from school. She now looked as if she had swollen a bit, her face sallow and puffy. Appearing utterly haggard as I got closer, I could hear the sharp laughter of the ghostly spirits on her body. The malice from you and your mother is truly abundant, a feast for the glutton. Ahahaha, what can I do for you? I frowned impatiently. Are you satisfied now? Tears streamed down Zhao Yuanyuan's sallow cheeks, her previous innocence gone. Do you know, my mother is still in detention. She went in to protect me. You're so cruel. Our whole family has been ruined because of you. She was very excited and rushed forward to push me. I kicked her several meters away. Since last time, I have started practicing taekwondo. And today was just a small test of my skills. She fell to the ground and tried to struggle up to hit me again. I immediately tackled her to the ground. After all, I was a whole person heavier than her, and much stronger. Zhao Yuanyuan, you brought this on yourself. Your mother didn't teach you properly, so I'll teach you in her place. I sat on top of her and slapped her hard across the face several times. She had planned to ambush me all along, choosing a place with no surveillance. I beat her up quite satisfyingly. Seeing her bruised and battered, I walked away contentedly. On the day the results came out, Zhao Yuanyuan ran out of the classroom screaming. Her classmates said it was as if a ghost were chasing her. Yes, there really is a ghost. A malevolent ghost is frantically pursuing her. Zhao Yuanyuan, you didn't keep your promise. Your luck will be returned tenfold to Zhou Xiying. All your evil thoughts belong to me. After you die, you'll become my puppet. Ahahaha, Zhao Yuanyuan screamed, covering her ears and running around wildly. She had nowhere to hide and was eventually controlled by the frenzied ghost, losing consciousness and collapsing to the ground. The entire school, teachers and students alike, thought she had gone mad due to her declining grades, and some couldn't help but sigh with pity. Unfortunately, I am not a compassionate person. I put on a pair of earplugs. Looking at the countdown to the college entrance exam, I carefully tidied up my desk and started frantically doing practice questions. The first place that belongs to me, I will take it back with my own hands. My grades improved by leaps and bounds. I could almost get every question right on each pop quiz. Both the teachers and my classmates started looking at me with newfound respect. At the same time, my weight was dropping day by day, and my original beauty gradually began to show. My classmates gave me the nickname, Little Louis Fei. On the desk and in textbooks, love letters of all kinds often appear, but perhaps because of my father's shadow, I have little longing for romance. What made me happiest was that my mother miraculously recovered, and in even better condition than before. She even started running marathons everywhere with her old friends. However, Zhao Yuanyuan's mother, Zhao Rui, was in a terrible state. She had suddenly become paralyzed for some reason, and her hands were also disabled. Lying in bed, she looked as if all her vitality had been drained. She was only breathing in, not breathing out, and when my dad was helping Zhao Yuanyuan with her mental illness, he actually discovered that Zhao Yuanyuan wasn't his daughter, which infuriated him. He stuck to his scumbag ways and kicked Zhao Rui and her son out with nothing. He doesn't need Zhao Rui's help now and has learned how to transfer assets. Indeed, women are men's schools. There's been progress. After the results of the third mock exam came out, I achieved my wish and took the top spot in the grade. My mother happily took me out for a big meal. Unexpectedly, in the restaurant, I ran into my father, who seemed to have aged 10 years. He looked at my radiant mother with hesitation and spoke cheesy sweet nothings. It seems like they are about to get back together, but my mom won't allow it. I won't allow it either. The two of them are just too mismatched now, like father and daughter. I really don't want another grandpa. My young and beautiful mother wants to find a handsome younger brother. When I got home, I found a card in my pocket, along with a letter. It turned out to be an apology letter from my dad. It says she regrets listening to Zhao Rui's nonsense back then, taking away the extra property, and now she wants to return it to us. I don't have the patience to read it all, so I hand it to my mom. She's in the middle of scooping my cat off Fu's poop, so she reaches out with the hand she used to wrap off Fu's feces. But we can't just refuse the money. We went to the bank to check, and surprisingly, there was over 500,000. My mother and I looked at each other and burst into laughter, then ran out of the bank hand in hand. During the college entrance exam, although I was nervous, I was full of confidence. Perhaps because of Zhao Yuanyuan's tenfold luck boost, I solved the problems with incredible ease and patiently rechecked my work through derivation and verification. I actually scored a perfect mark in math. Combined with my other grades, I unexpectedly became the top scorer in the province. Our county places great emphasis on education and awarded me a substantial scholarship, plus, all sorts of companies, in order to make a name for themselves, have been frantically showering me with rewards. I've been receiving bonuses non-stop, including the divorce settlement my dad gave me. My mom and I actually managed to scrape together $1 million. Professors from Tsinghua and Peking universities are fighting over me like treasure. My mother was grinning from ear to ear. Ready to head to the northern city with all our belongings, she planned to work while accompanying me through college. On the day we set off, the sun was warm and bright, and all the trees were thriving. Just as my mother and I happily boarded the high-speed train, suddenly, I saw a handsome young man in a blue shirt, holding a small bottle, sitting beside me. Ling Jun, what are you doing here? I whispered in surprise. He curled his lips into a smile, leaned closer to me, and the sound of the ghost's pleas for mercy came from the bottle. Ah, you caught it, that's great, I exclaimed excitedly. I was laughing and shouting when suddenly my head bumped into something. I sat up in pain from the bed in the bedroom. What is this? My old home. I glanced at the stationery pouch on the bedside. It was labeled, Show Seeing, Class 3, Grade 10. Could all of this be a dream? No, please, no. I rubbed my swollen eyes. Aching from crying, I tiptoed into the living room, where the muffled sounds of my parents arguing drifted down from upstairs. You're saying this Zhao Yuanyuan is your daughter now, Zhou Hai? How do you expect Ying to accept this? My mother began to sob quietly. When did you start having an affair? How could you do this to us, to me, and our child? Tell me. Enough, you're being unreasonable, Dad snapped angrily. Their argument grew more intense, and soon they started throwing things again. I quietly walked back to my room, gently locking the door. I huddled in the corner, holding myself tightly, letting tears silently stream down my cheeks. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My nephew is allergic to oranges. Although it's mild, there's still a risk of shock. I don't want the older generation in the family to have to bury the younger one. So I tried to stop my brother and sister-in-law, but they thought I was meddling in their affairs. They even tarnished my reputation outside. I became the notorious figure in the neighborhood. They fed my nephew a lot of oranges, deliberately trying to prove something to me. That night, he went into shock and couldn't be saved, and they believed I had cursed him to death. My sister-in-law went insane and stabbed me with a knife. My brother took all my savings and even arranged a ghost marriage for me. Opening my eyes again, I found myself back at a time when everything had yet to begin. As the spring festival approached, citrus fruits hit the market. My sister-in-law's mother bought a large basket of sugar oranges and sent them over. My nephew, only 5 years old and with a sweet tooth, ate 6 of them as soon as his grandmother delivered the oranges, and symptoms appeared immediately. My sister-in-law simply thought her son was tired from playing. I felt something was off. At that time, I insisted on taking my nephew to the hospital. The doctor diagnosed a mild orange allergy and advised avoiding such allergens in the future. I nodded and told my sister-in-law about it, but she thought I had ill intentions, accusing me of wishing her son dead. Although I was angry, my nephew is my own flesh and blood. I couldn't just stand by and watch him suffer, so I persisted. Little did I know it would lead to such a tragic outcome. The old saying is right, don't easily interfere in others' fate, it will shorten your life. Indeed, in my previous life, in my 20s, I worked hard for several years, and my brother took it all away. I saw my nephew's little hand reaching for an orange, holding it up to me to peel it for him, but I didn't dare. Under the subtle influence of his parents, this child doesn't show me the respect I deserve. The gossipy neighbors asked him, how does your aunt treat you? My nephew said, bad, auntie doesn't give me food, and she takes grandma's money and mom's gold. They say children don't lie. I think children are the best at lying. They don't even blink an eye, at most, they just don't know how to hide it. But the innocence of children often makes adults overlook the truth. I saw my nephew running towards me, calling out in a sweet, childish voice, Auntie, peel the orange. I put away my phone, deliberately pretending not to hear, and got up from the sofa, calling out, Mom, let me help you cook. I went into the kitchen, ignoring my little nephew. He then ran to his mother to complain, crying softly, wiping his eyes with one hand while still clutching a sugar orange in the other. Wah! Mommy, Auntie ignored me, she won't help me peel the orange. My sister-in-law is no child. In the past, for the sake of family harmony, I would give my nephew whatever he wanted. Almost all the toys at home were bought by me for him, not to mention peeling oranges. Even if he wet his pants at his age, as long as he came to me, I would help him change. Today, I didn't help him peel the orange, and he got upset, complaining to his mother. My sister-in-law is narrow-minded. As soon as she heard that I had ignored her son, she immediately became unhappy. She first comforted her son, peeled the orange, and even meticulously removed the white pith before feeding it to the child. After the child finished eating, she came out angrily to confront me. I'm helping my mom cut meat, and I say to her, "Mom, I think it's not good for me to keep living at home like this, with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. Tao Tao is growing up and needs his own little room. I plan to move out." My sister-in-law storms in angrily. Hearing that I want to move out, she immediately forgets about her son's orange incident. The house is just this small. She had long wanted her sister-in-law to move out, but her father-in-law disagreed, since she brought it up herself. Her sister-in-law came over with a smile and said, "I'll help too." I smiled, cutting the meat while glancing at my sister-in-law and calling out to her. My sister-in-law couldn't hold back her curiosity and eagerly asked, "What's up?" Thinking of moving out, I nodded. My mother was stir-frying and said, "Tao Tao is still young, renting a place costs money, it's better to spend that on buying him a few clothes." I hadn't had a chance to speak yet when my sister-in-law couldn't wait to interject. "Mom, how old is Tao Tao already? How can we keep having his aunt buy clothes for him? If Mimi doesn't want to live at home, just let her move out. Besides, rent is cheap these days, 500 or 600 a month. Mimi earns 6 or 7,000 a month, it's not like she can't survive. I earn 6,900 a month, but I have to hand over 5,000 for household expenses. All of it is subsidized by my mom to my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law knows everything, she just wants to have her cake and eat it too, not letting me stay at home while still trying to take my money. How could there be such a good deal in the world? My sister-in-law has long wanted to kick me out. I know that as long as I bring it up and she hears it, I won't even need to say much to my parents. She'll definitely persuade them. Morning, noon, and night, I see my sister-in-law following my mother around, and I can't help but laugh. In the evening, my nephew broke out in a rash, complaining of itching. My brother was sleeping like a log, and my sister-in-law, noticing her son was unwell, frantically mobilized the whole family. She even called her mother. My nephew's grandmother had a folk remedy. Mix incense ash with water, then stand 3 chopsticks upright while chanting for a while, and give the water to the sick person to drink. I didn't believe in it before, but I still had some respect for such supernatural claims. Now that I've been reborn, I'm genuinely curious. Does it actually work? I know the safest approach right now should be to take him to the hospital, not to drink ash mixed with water here, but I can't speak up. If anything happens to my nephew, I'll be blamed for it for the rest of my life. This time around, I've learned to be smarter, but I underestimated just how shameless my sister-in-law and my brother could be. My father said in a low voice, "Get the child to the hospital right away." My family is ordinary. My mother stays at home to look after the children and doesn't have a pension, but my father does, 2,000 yuan a month. My older brother is lazy and can't handle physical labor, and he works only sporadically. With accounts settled quarterly or yearly, on average, it's a little over 5,000 yuan a month. It's not much, but there is still money. But they were reluctant to spend money to send him to the hospital, so they turned their attention to me. My brother grabbed my arm and said anxiously, "Mimi, give me your card. Tao Tao needs to see a doctor, and going to the hospital costs money. As his aunt, you should take care of your nephew." I really wanted to laugh. They pocketed the 5,000 yuan I gave them every month, and now they have the nerve to ask me for money when their son is sick. I had no money in my card, just a few hundred yuan. I turned to look at my mom. "Tao Tao is sick, Mom. I send you money every month. You shouldn't be spending that much, right? Hurry up and take it out. We need to take Tao Tao to the hospital." My mom isn't so bad that she's my enemy, it's just that she's a bit biased toward sons over daughters, which, of course, is also quite detestable. Otherwise, when it came to arranging a ghost marriage back then, if they hadn't agreed, how would my brother have dared to make the decision? We don't have any notion here that a woman who doesn't marry can't have a tombstone. My mother looked awkwardly at my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law shrieked, "What's wrong with you? As an aunt, contributing some money, you know how hard it is to get money from your brother. Your nephew is in this state, and you're still counting pennies." I was speechless, even wanting to sneer coldly. "Sister-in-law, I earn 6,900 a month. give 5,000 to mom, pay the utility bills, and take Tao shopping for clothes at least once a month. Which piece of clothing I buy for him costs less than 500, I'm practically broke every month. What money do I have left to cover medical expenses? I gave the money to mom, and I asked her to take out a few thousand for medical fees. What's the problem with that? Isn't it still me paying for Tao? Sister-in-law wanted to argue back but didn't know what to say. She couldn't possibly tell me in front of the whole family that mom had given all the money I handed over to her. Her face turned pale and then flushed. My dad saw his eldest grandson scratching incessantly, to the point where his skin was broken. Furious, he kicked my brother and angrily said, "Still talking about money, 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 hurry up and take Tao to the hospital." With my dad's reminder, my brother and sister-in-law hurriedly hailed a taxi and took their nephew to the hospital. The results came out. It was a mild allergy. They say birds of a feather flock together. My brother and sister-in-law are a perfect match made in heaven. When their child broke out in a rash, they panicked and rushed to the doctor. At the time, I advised them to listen to the doctor's instructions, as it was just a mild allergy, and taking a few pills wouldn't be life-threatening, but they just wouldn't believe it. My nephew recovered. Train him to eat oranges. They say allergies happen because of a lack of antibodies, so just eat more, then you can handle it. My nephew's grandmother said the same thing. I also tried many folk remedies to treat allergies. They would feed my nephew a little orange every day. Everyone's antibodies are different. Some people might actually become desensitized, but for others, eating it could one day cost them their lives. My sister-in-law cried poor and asked me to buy some oranges for my nephew. I wouldn't dare. I've already found a place to live. I'll tidy up these next couple of days and plan to move out. I opened WeChat, showed her the payment screen, and said, "The rent is 3 months plus a 1-month deposit." But I don't have any money in my WeChat. Afraid she wouldn't believe me, I opened Alipay as well. I showed her the balance. Also 0. My sister-in-law stared at my phone for a moment, then looked up at me, frowning. "What about Huabei?" I sneered inwardly. How shameless. Click, a credit limit of 4,000, not a single cent left. My mother gave all the money to my sister-in-law, and she couldn't spare a penny of what I gave her. This time for renting, I had to borrow first and pay back later. But that's fine. Next month when I get my salary, I'll have an excuse. Of course, I won't give it next month either. I'll have a reason by then. My sister-in-law searched through all the apps where I could hide money, confirmed there was none left, and felt disdainful, but she still smiled and said, "Mimi, it's not that I want to eat it, it's your nephew. A basket of oranges doesn't cost much, just 30 or 50 yuan. You know I'm at home taking care of Tao and have no income. Your brother's salary is hard to get, mom has no money, and dad's pension is only enough for our daily expenses. Don't you love Tao the most? Just buy a few for him to try, taste it. Don't eat what I bought and die from it, then go crazy and stab me with a knife." I forced a smile and said, "Sister-in-law, I really have no money left. I've shown you everything. Could I possibly be lying to you? I've borrowed all I can. How do you expect me to buy it? I really don't have any money." My sister-in-law probably already cursed me to death in her heart, but she didn't dare to be too outspoken. She forced a bitter smile and said, "Forget it. It's just that Tao doesn't have that kind of luck. I can't even afford to buy an orange for my sister-in-law." I just smiled and went back to my room to pack clothes from the wardrobe. I should be able to move in by the day after tomorrow, but this house is just too disgusting. I can't stay here any longer. I plan to leave tonight. I packed my luggage and was about to leave soon. I went to the living room to pour a glass of water, but my mom grabbed me, dragged me into the room without a word, and immediately hit my arm hard, making me gasp in pain. She was still muttering under her breath, "What's wrong with you? Do you have a problem with buying some oranges for your nephew? Why are you becoming more and more unreasonable?" I was completely baffled and took a step back, preventing my mom from touching me again. "What have you heard now? Your sister-in-law asked you to buy some oranges for your nephew, and you kept making excuses. He's your nephew, not some stranger. Tao is in the middle of cutting. She forgot the term but still stubbornly scolded. Let him eat more, so he won't have problems later. As his aunt, what's wrong with being a bit more generous?" So my sister-in-law had complained to my mom over such a trivial matter. It seems like it's not a direct quote yet. You must have embellished it. I pulled out all my apps to show my mom, especially the 4KIO on Huabei. I pointed at the phone screen and held it up for her to see. Even if I were reborn, I couldn't keep my heart as calm as still water. My sister-in-law did something disgusting, so naturally, I felt disgusted too. The anger in my words was barely contained. I've given all my money to you, and I'm using credit to pay for my rent. When I ask you for money, you say it's all spent, and I don't know where it went. Fine, I'll take it myself, I'm so broke I don't have a penny. What am I supposed to buy for Tao Tao? If you don't give me the money, forget about a basket of oranges, I could buy you a whole room full. When it came to the 5,000 yuan, my mother fell silent. She still didn't dare tell her daughter that she had given all the money to her daughter-in-law. She had no choice. Xiao Mei kept threatening to take her grandson back to her own family. That grandson was her lifeline. She couldn't sleep a wink if she didn't see him for a day, knowing that my daughter really had no money. She didn't say anything more. I was also disappointed in my mother. With a cold expression, I said, I'll leave in a moment. By the way, I won't be paying next month. My mother immediately raised her voice. Why aren't you paying? Are your wings hardened? I raised you for so long, and now you want to be an ungrateful wretch. Speechless, rolling my eyes, take a deep breath and say, I owe 4,000 in rent, and I have to pay it back when I get my salary next month. Didn't you also raise my brother to adulthood, get him married and have children, sell the family homestead in our hometown for him, and buy this house in full? Why doesn't he have to pay? And you've poured everything into it. My mother said matter-of-factly, he's the son, he's already carried on the family line. That's a great contribution. I'm so angry my breasts hurt. Even though I knew the answer, I couldn't help but ask, what will you do when you're old, if my brother can't provide money and won't take care of you? Without a moment's thought, my mother blurted out, there's still you. With that mindset, I'll also be married off to someone else's family in the future, and I'll have to take care of my mother-in-law. How will I have time to look after you? Which is more important, your mother-in-law or your own mother? That's not what you said. In the future, if my brother doesn't take care of you, and my sister-in-law doesn't either, I'll have to come and serve you. But I also have a mother-in-law. How can I just abandon her, like my sister-in-law did to you? My mother was so angry that she raised her hand to hit me, and I ran away. I didn't even eat dinner. Eating too many sugar oranges can turn your face yellow. To help my nephew with his desensitization, the family went through 10 pounds a day. I haven't been home for 2 weeks, and I haven't heard anything about my nephew having any issues. Is it really possible to desensitize successfully? But whether it succeeds or not is none of my business. Going home for the minor New Year, I was almost scared. I have no idea how many oranges they eat in a day, but their faces have turned sallow, giving off a terrifying sense of liver problems. I looked at my mom's fingernails. They were stained yellow, with orange juice filling every crevice. They really are sick. You could say my parents are old and ignorant, but my brother and sister-in-law are only 5 years older than me. They're on their phones all day, and I can't understand how they could be so foolish. New Year's Eve dinner, my daughter needs help, otherwise, the nagging won't stop from the moment I enter until I leave. I don't want to sit around playing on my phone anyway. I'd be happy to do that in my rental place, but at home, no way. My sister-in-law might come over to chat, and talking to her makes me want to stab her. I helped my mom pick vegetables, and she asked me to stir-fry them. Actually, I can cook, but I deliberately add too much salt and oil, making it as unpalatable as possible. My mom took a bite, then quickly stir-fried 2 more dishes before shooing me aside to chop vegetables, all the while muttering a lecture. Spend a couple of days away from home and you can't even cook anymore. Do you really think you're some kind of young lady? I chuckled sarcastically, hearing my mockery. My mom immediately bristled. Probably my sister-in-law upset her. She didn't dare to vent directly at my sister-in-law because of my nephew, and she was also afraid of putting my brother in a difficult position. As soon as I came back, she finally had a place to let it all out. She threw the spatula into the pan and pointed at my nose, yelling, "What, you think you're all grown up now, starting to forget your roots? I might as well have given birth to a piece of roast pork instead of you. After all the pain I went through, none of you ever let me have a moment's peace." I laughed and deliberately raised my voice so that my brother and sister-in-law outside the living room could hear. "Mom, did my brother upset you, or is the money not enough? I'm broke, and you're too embarrassed to ask. I grew up with my brother, so it's easier for me to ask. I'll go get it from him." My sister-in-law can't stand anyone trying to take money out of her pocket. Playing with my son outside, her face instantly changed, and she sprang up and headed to the kitchen. "What money, Mom? What did Zhou Wei do to upset you again? We've been doing our best at home, haven't we? There's no money. If you think we're spending too much, I'll take Tao Tao back to my parents' house. My mom only has this one grandson, and she dotes on him endlessly. Speaking of which, it's already half a threat. My brother is afraid of his wife. so my mother doesn't have much say. For the sake of her grandson, she could only force a smile. Don't listen to Mimi's nonsense. Mom didn't say you were bad, and I don't want your money. You and Xiaowei living a good life is more important than anything. Only then did my sister-in-law's expression soften. I'm not saying anything about your mom, but we could even buy this house with a loan. You and Dad can live in the old house, while Zhou Wei and I live here. What's the problem with that? My mom's face darkened. What did that mean? They had helped pay for the house in full, and now they were being treated as if they were in the way. Outside, the laughter of their eldest grandson could be heard. I watched as my mom forced a smile. She really had the makings of a ninja turtle. My mother treated me like that. Here, I'm being bullied by my daughter-in-law. Of course, I wouldn't speak up for her. If you ask me, she deserves it. You guys are under a lot of pressure with the loan, and our family can't come up with that much money either. We can only sell the rural homestead. Even though we don't have much savings now, at least we're not in debt, which is way better than our neighbors next door. They're a couple living there, but what about us? 6 or 7 people crammed into a house of just over 100 square meters. It's packed to the brim. My sister-in-law was dissatisfied and complained to my mom, not holding back at all in front of me. My mom could only smile and say, there are benefits to a couple living alone, and there are benefits to a family living together. When they come back, they still have to cook, but you just need to take good care of Tao Tao. And you don't have to do the housework. Mom, Mimi has already rented a place outside, so why don't you move in with her? My mom's face visibly turned green with anger. I wanted to laugh but didn't dare. My tiny room couldn't possibly fit 2 people, let alone my dad as well. My sister-in-law is clearly trying to kick us all out now anyway. I'm not coming back. It all depends on my parents, whether they can keep this good daughter-in-law, who will carry on the Zhou family line, in check. She has her own room, and besides, Tao Tao needs looking after. You can't handle it all by yourself. Your dad and I aren't getting any younger. And with a son, we can't possibly go out and rent a place. People would laugh if they found out. My sister-in-law is afraid of my dad. Whenever he's mentioned, she becomes more obedient. Just now, she was so serious, but now she smiles and says, Mom is right. I was just joking earlier. I'll go check on Tao Tao. My mom nods. I stopped picking vegetables, crossed my arms, and asked, can we count on my sister-in-law in the future? My mother's face tightened, her teeth grinding with anger. All for the sake of her grandson. If we can't count on her, there's still your brother. I laughed. Then just wait and see. With that, I stopped helping in the kitchen. Want to hang out in my room. As soon as I opened the door, it was a complete mess inside. There wasn't even a spot to sleep on the bed. It's the new year, and there's no place to rest even when I come over in the evening. Given how much my sister-in-law dotes on her nephew, I didn't think they'd let him sleep alone until he was 12 or 13. I never expected them to take over my room so eagerly. I'll go to my parents' room. My dad is in the living room playing with his grandson. I lay in bed, locked the door, and scrolled through my phone alone inside. I knew my mom must be furious. She was preparing the New Year's Eve dinner alone, with no help from me or my sister-in-law. I used to feel sorry for her and wanted to help share the burden. Since my little nephew was born, her attitude towards me, well, it wasn't great before. But it wasn't this irritating either. She's been giving my money to my brother. My mom's anger disappears as soon as she sees her eldest grandson. After preparing the New Year's Eve dinner, the whole family gathered around the table to eat. My sister-in-law peeled 2 more tangerines for my nephew, but he turned his head away, not wanting to eat them. His mother insisted he eat them. She coaxed and forced him, promising to buy him a remote-controlled toy car. Only then did the nephew eat the orange. After finishing, I saw him scratch his arm and then reach for his back. His mother skillfully helped him scratch the itch. Clearly, it wasn't the first time. This family is really something else. They already got diagnosed with a citrus allergy at the hospital, and they still keep feeding it to them. Even though it's a minor festival, we should still give a small red envelope as a symbolic gesture. In previous years, I gave my nephew 100 for the minor festival and 1,000 for the major one. My salary hasn't been paid yet, so I don't have any money. It's time for the red envelope. My sister-in-law signaled her son to come ask me for money. I took the initiative and went to ask my brother for it, sweetly saying, Brother, I want a red envelope too. You haven't given me one in years. I hugged his arm and acted cute. After all, I am his sister, and it's not worth arguing during the new year. He had a little money in his pocket, and the atmosphere was just right. My brother couldn't resist my pleading and reluctantly took out 100 yuan for me. My sister-in-law was so angry her face turned green. She can take my money, but I can't touch a single cent of hers. including my brother's. My nephew asked for a red envelope, so I immediately gave him the money my brother had given me. My sister-in-law couldn't hold back. Mimi, your brother gave you 100, and you just gave Tao Tao 100. I know what my sister-in-law wants to say. I should add another 100, no matter what. I can't let her suffer a loss, but the problem is, I don't have any money right now. Even if I did, I wouldn't give it to them. The whole family is a bunch of ungrateful people. I don't want to dirty my money, sister-in-law. It's not even payday yet. You know I don't have any money. I still owe 4,000 on Huabei. My dear sister-in-law, do you have any money? Could you lend me some so I can pay off my Huabei debt? As soon as money was mentioned, my sister-in-law looked as if a ghost were chasing her. Her expression changed instantly. She took the 100 yuan and didn't dare ask me for more, afraid I'd ask to borrow money from her. I left right after finishing the meal. My dad actually tried to get me to stay, so I asked him, where am I supposed to sleep? My mom said, the living room can fit one person. You can sleep in the living room tonight. I ignored them and went back to my little nest. I didn't go home for the spring festival, so naturally, I didn't give my nephew any New Year's money. My sister-in-law acted as if she had lost 1,000 yuan. That very night, she called me. She had my nephew wish me a happy new year and say some blessings, going round and round. I knew she was trying to get money from me. As long as she didn't bring it up directly, I wouldn't go there. After talking for half an hour, my sister-in-law got impatient, took the phone from my nephew, and spoke to me. Hey, Mimi, sister-in-law, Tao Tao misses you. When are you coming back? Why didn't you come home even during the new year? Your brother and I miss you too. I couldn't help but laugh as I lay in my rented room. Miss me? More like miss the money in my pocket. It's the same wherever I spend it. I have to go back to work in a few days, so I probably won't have time to come back. Let's talk when I have time. Sister-in-law, I'm hanging up now. I should have known not to go back even for the minor new year. Away from the protective umbrella of home, there's no rain outside. Just loneliness and mockery. Still, it's better than going back and having everyone pick on me one by one. Wait, my sister-in-law seemed to realize her tone was too harsh, so she softened it and said with a smile, Mimi, it's New Year's today. Yeah, you have to give Tao Tao a New Year's money to ward off bad luck. Mom, Dad, and your brother have all given theirs. Sister-in-law, it's not even next month yet. I don't have 100 for the little new year. Will I have it for the spring festival? Don't you need money for food, drink, and daily expenses when you're out? You say you have no money, but sister-in-law doesn't believe it. I bought a whole box of instant noodles and have been eating them every day. Want me to video call you to show you? My sister-in-law actually did video call me, but I really did buy instant noodles. In the few seconds before she started the video, I quickly grabbed a bag, crushed it, and opened it, then answered the call. Turn the camera around. I turned it around. Just a bed, a wardrobe, and a desk. Simple and nothing else. My sister-in-law curled her lip in disdain, knowing she wouldn't get any money tonight and planning to wait until I got paid. I hung up, and the takeout I ordered arrived. The whole family was waiting for my paycheck. On the 15th, my mom was the first to call, asking me to hand over the money. Didn't I tell you last month? I have to repay the debt, so I won't give it this month. I owe 4,000, and there's still 2,900 left. I sneered. Are you asking me to starve to death? My mother choked up on the other end, speaking as if she were being generous. Keep 400 for yourself, just hand over 2,500. Impossible, not this month. I'm hanging up. If my mom hits me again, I'll block her. Then my brother called me. He wasn't as direct, kept talking about filial piety, saying how hard it was for our parents to raise me. I asked him if he had ever given our parents a single cent over all these years, which immediately made my brother furious. Hang up, block them too. Then there's my sister-in-law. Not only is she thinking about my 5,000 yuan, but she's also thinking about the 1,000 I didn't give my little nephew for the new year. All in all, I owe her 6,000 yuan. I answered the call, and my sister-in-law didn't beat around the bush. She immediately said, Mimi, you got your salary today, right? You still haven't given Tao Tao his New Year's money. Sorry, sis-in-law. I used the money to pay off Huabei. Moving to a new place means I have to buy some things, and I only have about 400 left. I still need to eat this month. To keep them at bay, I deliberately played an audio recording, a woman's voice calling out, Mimi, we're going to be late. Hurry up and clock in. I quickly said to my sister-in-law, Sis-in-law, I'm going to be late for work. If I don't clock in, I'll lose my full attendance bonus. I have to hang up now. After saying that, I blocked her as well. No other reason. I just wanted to annoy my sister-in-law by taking that call. The atmosphere at home is extremely gloomy right now. Ever since my sister-in-law had the baby, she hasn't been the same as before. She has to go to the beauty salon every month, and all my money is taken by her for facials. Even if there's any left, it's only a few hundred yuan. She knows the money will come in every month, so she doesn't worry about it. Every time she goes to the salon, she chooses the most expensive treatments. She's a big client there. Without my 5,000 yuan, she wouldn't be able to afford it. When she's unhappy, the whole family suffers. I blocked their phone numbers, so they couldn't contact me and didn't know where I rented. They tried every way to find out and came to my workplace. Unable to locate which floor I was on, they used a loudspeaker to shout outside. Someone recorded it and posted it in the group chat. Although this building doesn't belong to the same company, some employees have switched jobs between companies and still have contact information for former colleagues. Everyone loves gossip, so when my colleagues saw it in the group chat, they nudged me. "Zhou Mei, are they calling for you?" I was taken aback for a moment, picked up my phone, and opened the group chat. Two familiar figures appeared on the screen, with a voice blaring, "Zhou Mei, come out, you unfilial daughter. Blocking your parents on WeChat, ignoring your parents, ingrate. Ungrateful." The supervisor arrived at that moment and asked, "Is that you?" Uncertain if there were any other Zhou mice in the building, he used a questioning tone. If it was me, I would go down to resolve it. If not, it had nothing to do with them. I turned off my phone screen and said, "It's my mom." Colleagues around all turned to look. The supervisor frowned. "I don't care about your family matters, but I hope it doesn't affect the company's image. Sorry, I'll resolve it. You have half an hour, thank you." I went downstairs, and the security guard had already stopped my brother from shouting with the megaphone. As soon as I appeared, my mother came over with a stern face. "You think you're all grown up now, blocking the whole family? Why didn't you send money again this month? I've been moving these past 2 months. Everything costs money, plus transportation expenses. Where would I have any extra to give you? If I didn't block you, you'd be asking me for money every day. Should I go steal it?" My brother said. "You could give it before. Why can't you give it now? The rent is paid for 3 months, and you don't have to pay it every month, so how come you have no money?" I glanced at him. "Brother, you make it sound so easy. Does living alone not cost anything? Mom came to ask for money. What are you here for?" My brother choked, probably feeling guilty, but soon he straightened his back. "I'm here to help Mom ask for money." I sneered. "Really? Whose pocket does this money end up in?" "No one told me, but I found out." My brother and my mother both fell silent for a moment. My brother is afraid of his wife, but in front of me and my mother, he acts very macho. I had hit a sore spot, so he raised his voice to cover up his guilt. "What are you talking nonsense about? Mom and Dad raised you for so long. What's wrong with giving them some filial piety money? Do you even have a right to argue?" "Why don't I have a right? Where's my money? We agreed that I would hand over 5,000. Mom would save 2,000 for me, and the remaining 3,000 would be considered as spending on Mom and Dad. Last time I asked Mom for the money, why couldn't she produce it?" "Zhou Wei, don't act all innocent when you've already taken advantage. My brother is just as disgusting as my sister-in-law. My mom knew that I had found out. She told my brother to turn off the speaker and sighed. "Mimi, Mom knows you've been wronged, but Tao Tao is the lifeblood of our family. Your sister-in-law stays at home to take care of him and has no money, so Mom has to help out a little bit. Is that just a little help, Mom? I didn't say anything before, but this time I'm moving. Don't you know that everything costs money, and I still have to pay off my Huabei bills? How much do you think I'll have left in the end?" Bringing my brother to my company to make a scene. Even my supervisor knows about it. If it escalates to the boss, I'll get fired. In this job market, where everyone's making around 3,000, I've worked for years to earn this salary. If I get fired, you won't get a single cent from me in the future. My brother only thought about egging my mom on to come ask me for money, without considering how serious the problem could be. If I get fired, they'd really lose their source of income. I exchanged a look with my mom. My mom was already feeling guilty. Just then, my brother's phone rang. He answered. It was my sister-in-law. They talked for a while, and I could roughly hear them, meaning that if they couldn't get the money today, she would take her nephew back to her parents' house tonight and not continue the marriage. I suddenly remembered something. They both have a personality that shifts blame. If I don't give the money and it leads to my brother and sister-in-law divorcing, I would still have to bear the blame for it. It seems I have to quit this job. But I gave a faint smile, then quickly pursed my lips. My brother panicked as soon as he heard his wife was going back to her parents' home. My mother panicked as soon as she heard her daughter-in-law was taking her grandson away. Mimi, how much do you have left now? Transfer it to me. If that doesn't work, you can come home for lunch every day. That'll save quite a bit too, my brother chimed in. What does an unmarried girl like you need money for? Nothing is more important than Tao. As his aunt, you should care about your nephew. They demand money with such a sense of entitlement. I refuse to agree. No money, Mimi. If you can't manage, just cash out. Did you finish paying off Huabei last month? Transfer the 4,000 from Huabei to me, and you can pay it back next month. Also, how much credit do you have on Douyin monthly payment? Brother, seriously, don't you have any money as a grown man? Why are you asking me for money? The money I had was for mom and dad. What does that have to do with you? Huabei, Jibei, monthly payment. What? Are you going to help me pay it back next month? My brother fell silent. What could he say? Help me pay it back. He wouldn't even if you twisted his head off. My mom was really afraid that my sister-in-law would take my nephew away, so she just lay down on the ground, insisting that I give her money, completely disregarding whether I would get in trouble with my boss. All she cared about was solving the immediate problem. Half an hour later, I still hadn't gone upstairs. Someone secretly recorded a video again and shared it in the group chat. Our boss was very angry after seeing it. The supervisor also called me, telling me to hurry back and give her an explanation. I ignored them and returned to the company. My brother wanted to follow me to ask for money, but there was an access control system on the first floor. There's also the security guard. He can't even get near the elevator. Of course, even if he did get in, he wouldn't know which floor I'm on. I explained it to the supervisor. She was also speechless, but there wasn't much she could say. My brother and my mother made a scene day after day, even trying to block me. I ran away, and I guess my sister-in-law's patience had reached its limit. My brother told my mother to sit on the ground and cry when there were a lot of people getting off work, not to mention in reality, it's already blown up online. The company, fearing damage to its image, immediately terminated my employment contract, even though they knew I was also a victim. But no one wants to turn down money, so I got N+1. It wasn't until the second half of last year that my salary was raised to 6,900. Although the company was forced to fire me under pressure, the leaders were still quite good and agreed to keep it confidential, not mentioning that I received N+1. I got fired and immediately stormed home in a rage. The house was in complete chaos. As soon as my mom saw me, all she talked about was money. Even my little nephew, who doesn't even understand what money is, was shouting, "Auntie is bad, she won't give grandma money." The closest thing to me was the tea set on the table, so I smashed it. My nephew burst into tears, and when my sister-in-law tried to scold me, I yelled first, "Enough, you come to my company to make a scene, are you trying to drive me to my death? Now the company has fired me, I have no money, are you satisfied? The whole building knows me, I can't even find a job now, are you happy?" My mother was dumbfounded. My father frowned. What's going on? It turned out my father didn't know yet. I acted like I was going crazy, went to the kitchen and grabbed a knife, scaring everyone in the house. They avoided me like the plague, and my brother, being a coward, pulled my sister-in-law and nephew straight into the room. Leave my parents outside to fight. My mother's calves were trembling, and she stared nervously at the knife in my hand. Mimi, knives aren't for playing with, put it down right now. My eyes were bloodshot. Why did you have to go to my company and cause a scene? Do you know how many years I struggled to get to this salary? I told you before, it would affect me. Why did you still have to make a scene? Now I'm fired. Are you happy? My father came over. He probably knew I wouldn't dare use the knife, so he snatched it from my hand and asked my mother sternly, "Did you get Mimi fired from her job?" My mom is also afraid of my dad. She didn't expect it to be this serious. Xiaomei needed money, but she had none, so she could only ask her daughter for it. My son also said it wouldn't affect Mimi. My mom lacks basic judgment. As long as it involves her son or grandson, their words are like imperial decrees to her. The family has expenses, and the money isn't enough, so I can only ask my daughter for it. Go online and see for yourselves. Just because of your fuss, the whole internet is condemning me. Mom, for the sake of your son, are you really going to push me to my death? If I'm gone, and my brother and sister-in-law don't take care of you in the future, I wonder who you'll be able to rely on. The online buzz isn't high, only people in the same city can come across it. It'll probably disappear in a couple of days, but these words are enough to scare my mom. My dad was also angry, but he could somewhat understand me. Last month, the rent was overdue, and this month, There's no money for household expenses. He gave my mom a scolding. My mom also realized she was wrong. He went to knock on my brother's door, wanting him to apologize to me. My brother, afraid I was still holding the knife, quickly backed down from behind the door. All right, I was wrong about this, okay? I could clearly hear a slap from behind the door, probably my sister-in-law hitting my brother. The two of them muttered something inside, and then my brother suddenly raised his voice. You work for a legitimate company. If they fire you, they should give you compensation. After working there for 3 or 4 years, you should get at least 100,000 yuan. His tone was so certain. I knew that if I said yes, they will try every possible way to take the money from me. I went crazy outside. How dare you say that, Zhou Wei? If it weren't for you taking mom to the company to make a scene, I could have gotten N+1 compensation for a normal dismissal. Now the company says I seriously damaged the company's image. I even have to pay the company liquidated damages. I don't care, Mom. I've saved about 70,000 yuan with you over the past few years, right? My mom fell silent. My brother and sister-in-law inside also stopped making a sound. My dad also fell silent. Why aren't you saying anything? My mom felt awkward and tried to change the subject. Mimi, are you hungry? It's okay if you lost your job. You can just find another one tomorrow. 70,000 yuan. Mom cleaned your room for you. You should move back in. I'm asking about the money. Didn't you say you were saving it for me? Where is the money? This. My mother instinctively looked at my father. My father's face turned ashen. No one outside was speaking anymore. My brother opened the door, and the way he came out suggested he had been pushed out by my sister-in-law. One moment he was trembling, and the next, seeing I didn't have a knife in my hand, he immediately straightened his back and came over to lecture me. Money? What money? All you think about day in and day out is money. Do you even have any respect for our parents, Zhou Wei? What do you mean by this? You messed up my job. And now I need money. Are you planning to stand by and watch me die? We don't have any money. My brother scratched his head irritably, then shifted the blame onto me. If you ask me, it's just that you're too useless. Others know how to flatter and get ahead, but look at you, you get fired over the slightest thing. I thought I already hated my brother enough, but I never expected he could still cross my bottom line. Now, whenever I hear his voice, I can't help but want to kill him. Mom, I gave you the money. If you saved it, give me the bank book. In case the company sues, I need to transfer the money over. I kept asking them for the money, and my mom had no choice but to tell the truth. I gave all the money to your sister-in-law, not a penny left, and it's all spent. Mimi, you should find another job. To make the act convincing, I cried in anger, sobbing uncontrollably. My dad comforted me. My mom stood there awkwardly. My brother didn't dare make a sound, and my sister-in-law came out, still carrying her luggage. You're a family. I'm an outsider. I'm taking Tao Tao with me. You all live well. My sister-in-law spoke with such venom that anyone who didn't know better would have thought we were her father's murderers. My mother couldn't bear to see her eldest grandson leave, and neither could my father. Seeing the situation had become truly ugly, my father spoke up. All right. I still have tens of thousands of yuan saved up. You can use it first. At the mention of money, my sister-in-law quieted down. I threw out a sentence. From now on, don't expect a single penny from me, and left. When the rent was due, I went to Beijing, out of sight, out of mind. My brother and sister-in-law are both big spenders. My father gave them his savings, and they spent without restraint, blowing through 50,000 yuan in 3 months. My father argued with them, and my sister-in-law took the child back to her parents' home. My nephew is allergic to oranges. The situation at home was already so chaotic, yet my sister-in-law still wouldn't give up. She was determined to correct her son's allergies. Previously, she had been giving him 2 a day. When they went to her mother's house, his grandmother had him gradually increase the amount, from 4, 5, 6, up to 10 a day. After eating it for a week straight, my nephew finally had an accident. Shocked, he was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment, due to the excessive amount and the consumption of various dubious folk remedies. His health deteriorated day by day. It wasn't until the early hours of the morning that he was discovered, and even if Hua Tua were alive, he couldn't have saved him. Sadly, my nephew ended up following the same path as in his previous life. My mom just felt sorry for her eldest grandson, now that the eldest grandson is gone, and it's because of the oranges. Knowing that the nephew ate more than 3 times the amount at his maternal grandmother's house compared to at home, she immediately resented her in-laws, especially my sister-in-law. After spending 50,000 yuan in just a few months, the elderly couple was already very unhappy, and now their grandson is gone. My sister-in-law was grabbed by the hair and beaten by my mom. My sister-in-law was also stunned. Her living son died from eating an orange. How is that possible? My sister-in-law went mad, accusing her mother of poisoning her son and causing his death. At that moment, the boy's grandmother seemed as if her soul had been drained. The whole family was in complete chaos. My sister-in-law couldn't accept it. My brother couldn't accept it either. My mother almost fainted, and the entire family was unable to come to terms with it. No one informed me, and I had no idea what was happening at home. My sister-in-law went mad, stabbing my brother with a knife and even attacking her own mother. My mother was stabbed in the arm, and after losing her grandson, even though it wasn't a life-threatening injury, she fell ill and never recovered. In the end, my sister-in-law was diagnosed with a mental illness, locked up in a mental hospital. My brother was stabbed by him, and it's highly likely he won't be able to have children in the future. They got divorced. My mother's world collapsed. A once happy family fell apart because of the loss of my nephew. My father sighs all day long, and his hair turned completely white in just 2 months. Not a single one of them thought of me or reached out to me. Even if they did try to contact me, they would probably find out that I had already blocked them long ago. No one in the family can accept the loss of my nephew, especially my mother. She can't bear to hear anything about oranges now and wishes she could beat my sister-in-law to death. She has tried to break into the psychiatric hospital several times but has been stopped each time. To be honest, I think my mother is biased. Is it all my sister-in-law's fault? What about my brother? Does her son just get to disappear without a trace? But I can't be bothered. I'm free as a bird now, and whatever mess happens at home, it's all their own doing. If they expect me to support them in their old age, then they better cough up all my money. Don't turn around and suck their daughter dry just to support their son. Pa, after hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.